she finally left without anything, without any compensation, and she didn't go to get the compensation. Actually, these families didn't go to URA to get the compensation because they are very angry. And then she moved to another house, to a rooftop house. And then 1 month after she moved there, she found out one day when she went back home that the Red Cross, Tianshang property. And then after that, she moved out because there was a fire somehow in the staircase. And we all of us think that it's some property company. And after that, she moved to another cubicle apartment. And last year she was noticed that the landlords in her building were considering to apply for URA's demand-led renewal project. But actually, for another part is that her identity as a Hong Kong people's mainland-born children was recognized in, I think, 2013. So she was, she got some kind of
so there is some kind of I don't know.
Well, let me explain it in length. Because all her 3 children were Hong Kong born, and they have actually a lot of family members, all of their family members in Hong Kong, except their mother. So actually the problem is, since these 3 children were born in Hong Kong, they have the right to public housing, but they have to have a person who is with a Hong Kong ID card and over 18 years old. So this problem is solved when the mother got her right of abode in Hong Kong.
So in 2013, there's some people who are facing the right of abode problem can come to Hong Kong. So there's some a little bit new agreement and so, but not all of them can.
Not all of them.
Yeah. So some of them, for example, if when their parents come to Hong Kong, so they are below or over a particular age, then they no longer can have the possibility to come to Hong Kong. Or when during this period, maybe one of them die. For example, if mother and dad and the dad died throughout these 15 years, and then they also lost the eligibility to apply for.
This is too complicated. Yeah. A very complicated issue about the Hong Kong history. I wonder how many of you know the touch base policy?
抵類政策。
抵類政策。你講嚟聽下都唔好成日都我哋講。In Cantonese lah, I translate for you. Or you can use your English.
It's very well.
Then you speak in English.
普通話就係呢啲內地嘅一啲即係佢哋所謂偷渡嘅人，如果去到佢哋市區有啲親戚嘅地方接觸到佢哋可以一齊去到入境辦事處度搞個手續，咁佢就可以攞到身份證。但自從抵類政策之後，就無論佢哋有冇即係無論佢哋有冇可以接觸到親戚或者去到搞身份證，都唔可以承認到佢哋嘅身份。作為一個合法嘅香港居民之類嘅。
之類咯，係啦。So that you can understand the whole history. Because we know that it's quite a controversial issue in Sydney University about Hong Kong mainland, but there's a very complex history behind this issue. So if you want to discuss about this, we can talk about this after class, because I think Louisa wants us to talk about more about documentary making, about people participating in documenting about their own lives. So is there any question or discussion that you want to ask?
係咁喺條片裏邊咧，就會見到好多係，即係佢哋會有啲情緒，例如好嬲啊、喊之類。咁你哋會唔會話專登去有啲提問啊，或者做一啲行為，令到佢哋引發咗個情緒，令到你哋嗰個拍攝會比較吸引？同埋如果即係可能有啲可能唔係呢啲事件，可能有啲事件係比較平淡啲，咁嗰啲紀錄片你又會點樣做咧？咁如果佢哋冇情緒嘅，咁你點樣可以引導，可以令到內容更加豐富嘅？
你呢個問題真係好得意嘅。等下先啊。He asked whether we do anything to irritate the people when they're being filmed to get their emotion. So if for other films, if there were no struggle, no protest, how can we make the content more fruitful or more, I don't know, better without these emotions?
I wonder, would some of you also maybe try to answer this question, because this is somehow an open question that when you're watching a film, what do you think, where the emotions coming from? Is it what we asked or what else? And also what do you think about this issue?
Before that，我哋傳緊一張紙咧，就係咧如果啲同學有興趣咧，一齊去拍啲嘢啦，或者咧你覺得我想做啲咁樣嘅記錄咁樣，或者係咧你有興趣咧去一啲 Band 3學校教下人拍嘢啊，或者去啲街坊度同啲街坊一齊由冇 window 知識開始學到拍紙片啊咁樣，咁咧你都可以留低個聯絡方法俾我哋嘅，或者你對舊區重建你有興趣，你都可以留低俾我哋。I just explained about that contact paper which I asked you to leave us your contact. Okay.
Well, let me translate for that. She's passing around a piece of paper, and they have lots of issues that they are focusing, and including the community problems, but also giving you a chance and then to go to the Band 3 school, which are usually the students in poverty attend, to teach the student there how to make documentary. And then if you have any intention to participate in this kind of video making in the local community, you can leave your contact, okay, on that piece of paper that's being passed around. And the question that just asked in the back, I think was a very good question. It talks about when you're filming, and sometimes you see these emotional problems coming from your subject. Sometimes you don't. So the question was that when you're filming, and then are you trying to do a conversation to provoke this kind of emotional reaction to the things, or when people are emotionally cool, and how you are going to make a video together so to make the movie interesting, because the emotional value is sometimes make the whole video looks more dramatic. So that was a question asked behind. And then both of them were saying that what do you guys think? It's an open question, and see if you have a suggestion that if you're in this situation and when you're doing the filming, what if people are not really sharing their emotional problems? What do you think? Was your answer? And you could also try to answer that.
Has anyone done any documentary actually? No?
Most of them haven't, because this is a beginner's class.
This one. Okay. So what do you yourself think?
我自己我會睇翻嗰個被訪者佢個背景係點樣先，例如啱啱可能係媽咪嘅佢本身，咁其實講一啲關於子女嘅嘢，我覺得佢會點都有啲會觸動到啊，即係或者可能其他角色，可能佢係即係講一啲佢可能個阿伯咁樣，可能講翻佢以前啲歷史嘅嘢，佢一定好中意講嘅。即係首先睇佢背景，跟住再諗一啲嘢可以聯繫到，咁去觸動到佢。咁唔多唔少我都覺得佢會點都會有啲情緒嘅變化咯。我會即係我自己做，可能我會專登去牽引佢有情緒。
So he thinks the single mother is a good subject because she has stories to tell, and then she also has her own emotional problems. And then I thought it's a very smart way that you guys were selecting the subject because she has 3 small children. And then there's the interaction between mother and children, make the whole thing more human in a way.
In fact, we didn't select any subject. It happens. I think we have to explain how we work.
Yes.
Actually,
I mean, in your editing, you definitely select your subjects.
Oh yes. But actually, not a lot of people are willing to be framed and to participate. But they are willing to participate in protests. But they might not be, happy to participate in documentary making or being framed. So actually, the first time I saw these people, I did not go as we activists. I'm just a volunteer in the urban renewal projects. So I followed other old district residents to go to this district to disseminate some basic knowledge about urban renewal. So then a group of residents come up and say that we are being evicted by the landlords. And then we start to organize them. Because I'm a human being, I have a lot of identities. One of it is maybe a documentary maker, another is urban renewal volunteer. And actually, I went there as a volunteer for the urban renewal concern group. So actually, we start with organizing people. And then for me, I think that this video thing has a lot of roles. Has a lot of roles in this process of organizing because they are about human beings, and organizing people to fight for their rights is about human beings. So I think we try to insert a lot of video things into the process of organizing. And actually, the first couple, I know that they are the Hong Kong man is very poor, and then he needs a partner, and then he married a woman from mainland China, and then we have this complicated new immigrant family, and then we have another more complicated issue with the right of a vote issue. Actually, people who live in cubicle apartments are always people who are most marginalized in society. Maybe you think that they are not marginalized, but if they are not, how come they are living here? So we start with organizing, and then the first thing, and then a group of students come. Actually, not only students. There are some, ordinary citizens who are clerks, and also, I think they are clerks. Yeah, they're clerks and students, and they came said that they want to be a volunteer. Actually, before they want to be an urban renewal volunteer, they want to do documentary, so they know us. But then they think that we should start with some issue or something that we care about, otherwise we cannot do any documentary. So that they join in to be a volunteer in this concern group. And then I asked them to try to do their first documentary with that couple, to try to follow them for one day, to see how a grassroots family lives for a day. I think it's the best way to show people how this grassroots family live by showing them, a whole day. This woman, she's a new immigrant, always, being scolded by a lot of people that new immigrants are lazy and things like that. But then she wake up at 6 o'clock, and then she go back sleep a while, and then she wake up at 9 o'clock to prepare breakfast for his husband and her own, and then she goes to work, and then she off work she goes to the market and cook the dinner. The dinner may be for 2 days, or for 2 meals actually, for the lunch next day. And then she cooked, and then actually she do the housework, and then she sleep, and the other day runs again. So we actually follows them for one day, and this move is to let the new volunteers to understand how they live, and also to understand the details. And we understand that there are a lot of people who dislike new immigrants in this society, and there are actually a lot of misunderstanding led by the mass media. And we want people to know the details of their lives and see them as humans. So this is actually their first homework. To frame this couple, follow them a whole day, and do some kind of editing. But then it develops like they were being evicted many times. So in this process, actually the grassroots organizing is going on, together, hand in hand with documentary making. It's sometimes like the residents and us are all directors of this film. We're actually thinking, what should we do next? URA is denying us, what should we do next? Oh, the landlord is coming, the bailiff is coming, what should we do? We think about what we do and we document what we do. It's somehow like home video. We do something and then we record our own activities. And but of course, this is more than home video because there is social meaning. For your question, in this process, we don't provoke anybody, actually. We try to invite them to talk. And sometimes, as you see in part of it, we also try to calm them down when they're fighting with each other. Because I think the wife is she's just some kind of very fire person. And the husband is some kind of a very wood person. 即係好木嘅人同埋好火嘅人咁就And then it's like we want the video to perform as some kind of another human being in the process. The video is helping the issue. It records the process. I think you are very impressed with that URA staff who is saying that if people are sleeping on the street, they choose it themselves. That guy. Actually, it was framed by the residents because we as outsiders, the URA did not accept that other people come framing. So we tell the residents you must do it yourself. And it's an easy way to ask them to start with, video making, because you are the subject. You have to do this yourself. And also the first introducing meeting held by URA staff. The three people on stage saying that we are not responsible for you. Actually, that was also framed by residents, because we were not allowed. And actually, I think it's very good that they document something. The first time they document some people saying things, and these people, comes from some kind of superior class, is something that they have never done before. Because in their life, they are always, workers, poor people, and they do as they were told. And for the first time, they do something else. I will record what this staff said, and then when they break their promise, I have my evidence. This is actually what they did when they videotape those staff. This is the first step, and then the second step is volunteer framing those people, trying to have their documentary homework, and also to make way to understand these people's life and also their histories. I think that's the thing. We want them to evolve in a way naturally, but naturally with us. People behave naturally with different people. You talk to me or you talk to your classmates, obviously in a different way compared with when you're talking to your parents. So actually, we want those emotions to come out naturally in this process. But so we don't suggest people provoking others. Usually we ask them to think about what they are going to say. because if this is, this is documented, if this is going to be screened to the public, other people will, have thinkings about them. So they have to consider their consequences before they say anything. We don't want people to be uninformed before they, do something. This is also our responsibility because we show them to the public. We are the mediator. So,
Any more questions? So, một vấn đề. So you understand the process of filming and how it was done. Do you want to know how it came to the work that you've seen?
寫低會容易明白啲。
Actually, I'm wondering, do you have different versions of this, or you share all the footage and you done editing
We do-
separately, or you do it together?
We divide ourselves into 3 groups. 3 groups into 3 families. And finally, we have a big discussion after the first edit come out. So then we combine them together with all the other information. So this is kind of collective work. Yeah, and we would like to, develop ways of collective work because if we are going to popularize this ability of creation, or what do you say? I think we have to develop collective way of work because actually normal grassroots people don't have the time resources. They have little time after work that they can do about, do this kind of thing. So if we can develop ways of collective work, then more people can participate in this kind of, documenting social life. And it's impossible for us, sometimes I think it's very impossible for higher class or middle class like us to really understand what's happening. So I think it's very important that they do it themselves.
So for the filming part, so collectively done by the residents and also volunteers. And for the editing part, it is somehow mainly done by volunteers still. But before the screenings and before we think that the film is finished, we organize some small screenings during our meetings with the residents. So they watch the films and they also ask them their opinions, whether they think the way we show it, the way we make it, is it what you think, or is it anything that you think
feel differently?
Yeah, feel differently, or you think we should not let it like this, and so yeah. And then when we do the screenings, we do the screenings in some different areas. So for example, in different classes and also in different on the streets or in other residents also facing the urban renewal problem. So we will have the film showing together with the residents. So they also get involved in the discussion, and we say that this is important. So for me especially, or maybe for others, I think that the importance is not whether that we make a documentary film. The important thing is how is the video art, what is the relationships between video art and the people who usually think that they are not involved in art or in expressing views and so I think that this is more important. And also so somehow we will try to let them also join in the process. And for example, I think for me, somehow in a particular period, we didn't have a thought that there is we will make a documentary film. So somehow we think that we try. For example, we have some clips, we have some footage, and we will show the footage back in the residents' meetings. And during the meetings, the residents can see each other's reaction. For example, during the meetings or during the protests, and they'll observe, you did a thing quite good. Then this kind of praising with each other, we think that it is also a very important thing for video arts, and it is also a tool to let people to watch each other, also give feedback to each others, and we think that this is also important. And only after a few periods, then it seems that there is something important. We think that it is also a good thing to make it a film and let it deliver to other people's, and then so after maybe more than half a year after we join in the movement, and we start to think that maybe we can come up to think of making a documentary, and then we gather to discuss what our theme would like to be for this film.
使唔使中文講多次啊？使唔使你岌頭就得㗎啦？Okay.
Actually, you could compare this to like Bacon Chung's way of working, and then Bacon Chung's of working was that you go into the community and then you film them. You use a video to empower them with the presence of the filmmaker is always there, right? And then their empowerment was, you could say, it's going one step more. It's that they're handing in the video machine like to the residents, and then so they could participate in the filming, and they also indirectly participate in the editing of the film. So it was like a different method of working, and then this way the empowerment might be more that so the residents later themselves, they will pick up the camera and then they could do the filming. And I was amazed by that little girl who was saying that, Mom, you have to film this. This will be the evidence. And then so you could see that, how this idea that when it was explained to the mother, and then the child also picked it up. And then later she would remind her mom to do something like that. So you could see this kind of empowerment. So if you compare the quality of the video itself, and then if you have one filmmaker filming it, and then of course everything was more consistent. And here you would see that there's a big part of the video shot by the single mother herself. And the camera is shaky like crazy, and then all the children were yelling, the volume was like go up and down, and then you kind of but then there's a reality, there is the power of the reality there. And here you would start to rethink about documentary as a medium. Is it supposed to be a piece of art? And art in what sense? Is it art only referring to the technical perfection of the video, or art is also the reality, the sense of real life and real people in it, and even the real people's shaky camera in it, and real children's screaming in it. So these were the things that like when I was watching, and it kind of intrigued me, and then the kind of film that I make, and then everything is in control and etc. But then the reason I brought them in is because I think this kind of a video also has a big power, because it kind of remediates between the subject of who's being filmed and the subject themselves were filming, and then their role of bringing in the volunteers, the first-timers, and a student like you guys want to help, and then they give you an assignment and say, hey, Claudia, go to that family and film that child. And, then you have no idea how other people work, but then when you come as a group in the editing room together, you have a chance to talk to each other. So you could say it's like a selective process, but then it's a group selective process, which breaks the subjective point of view, because there are many subjective selection in there, and they all have a part in it. So I thought this was something more of an empowerment with the people being filmed in a sense.
And with that, I think inconsistent with our belief in democracy. Actually, media ability, media literacy, and media capability these kind of things are actually cultural capital. These are only owned by a certain class in this society. You see, before they were being misreported by the TVB, they all believed in, mass media. But then after this, they know, oh, this is how they work. And actually, there's a messy thing in that, because actually some kind of TVB high-rank officer actually went to URA to be another high-rank officer in the PR department. And also another TVP reporter, Godwin Kam, actually went to URA to be a PR officer. Actually, they have all this kind of relationship. So after this, the residents themselves understand what do you mean by editing. It's edit away the true thing, and then and to edit in what other people tell you, not what I tell you. So so it's a very important education, I think, and I think it's very important to democratize this kind of resources to the mass public. I want to express that because, recently maybe a lot of you have went to Mong Kok or Admiralty. People also say that, oh, there's a mess there. A lot of people who do not understand what they are doing there. But there's some kind of order when this kind of lot of people are persisting in that area. Some kind of order will develop among themselves. I think this is what we are trying to seek, is to find some kind of order that people can develop among themselves, even in the process of creative arts or documentary art. I don't care actually. In doing something, to create something. I think the most important thing is to create something, because this is some kind of our own philosophy. Is to create something means that you complete yourself as a human being. Because actually, you have to go through this process to think that, oh, this is something created by me. This is my product. This is my work. So once you have this experience, it's very different. You think that you have this confidence that you can do something, you can create something. I think this is in this meaning is very important for social workers who organize their residents, and also very important for any human being who would like to be a complete human being. So what we are always trying to do is to deliver this kind of confidence, this kind of possibilities. So we don't want our work look very professional actually, so that people who watch this will think that I can do that. I can do that. So after you start, you can always improve, try to find ways to improve yourself. This is another matter. But the point is the starting point, because there are a lot of people who still believe that they cannot create something. Art is something irrelevant to them. Art is something related to people who are 食飽飯冇事做嘅人咁樣，who are not worried about their basic living standards. So in that way, actually, you're pushing the poor people away from create something, creative art, or spiritual life. So I think that's our most important aim in making any documentary. And also, of course, we have other work like a community screening, to screen this, like this. This is showing the film which we show you just now on the streets actually, with cars running by, and police officers, watching us, and a group of students or residents here and watching the film. Actually, the film was not finished, but we don't have enough time actually. The last part is actually about this guy. He had lived on that street for 50 years since he was born. So the last story is about him. He is a person very easy to film because he is very, very willing to speak, but very difficult to edit because he is always speaking.
and then after this documentary, also do 2 shots together with Mr. Ho, this guy, and then the shots is. So you want to show it?
Yeah, you can speak.
Yeah. So as Wai has said, we try to let grassroots also think that they can do it, and somehow it's a difficult work. It's a difficult work because for many reasons. So for example, this guy he is also so he's a worker, so he don't have much time, and so usually making shots is somehow more easier to work together with residents.
Long documentaries is quite impossible actually.
Yeah, and also using somehow simple way, and for example, doing it and using photos, making photos, and then together to make a film. So we try to develop different ways to let them also to join in, can participate, and also can finish a work. So show.
Oh, this is the logo of Urban Renewal Authority. That's it. Very simple, right?
A
I
simple
think
stop motion.
all of you can understand what it is. And actually, it's that's the logo of the Urban Renewal Authority. And actually, for the base, they were all property, news and advertisements. So this is his work. And for the sound effect, actually, because Mr. Ho is a guy who likes to play video game. So we try to pick up all this kind of video game sound with him, and then we use it as sound effect. So it's something like that. Yeah. This is how we work. So other questions?
我想問下，就係有時候未必咧，每一個受訪者咧都咁容易去俾人影或者去講一啲嘢俾拍攝嘅人知嘅。咁我想問下你哋拍攝嘅時候，會唔會先同佢哋相處咗一陣，唔拍嘢，先同佢哋相處咗一段日子先，然後再拍啊？定係你哋會用啲咩方法令到嗰個被拍攝嘅人會比較主動一啲，很願意表現得自然啲啊，或者講嘢會講多少少咁樣樣？因為有啲人會講嘢問佢問題，佢可能就係答好少，就係識得講係啊，冇啊，即係會咁樣樣咯。
因為你問咗啲咁嘅問題啊嘛。
So the question is, when you're interviewing people, some people are not willing to open up, like in the beginning, and then so what would you do? The question that ask them, what would they do? Do they, have a little chat with them without opening the camera yet, or because she has the experience of interviewing somebody, and then they would just answer to the question very briefly. So what's the technique of getting people to be more willing to share?
There's no technique actually. There's no technique but honesty and sincerity. Because when we step in that district, we don't step in as a filmmaker. We are a person in the issue who knows how to use video. That's all. But in the very first place, we are a person who care about this thing, and we try to do something that's good to everybody. So actually, they all know us before the video start to work, and also the video appear as some kind of things that they can use first. It doesn't appear as a film making tool. It appears like when there's a meeting with the staff of URA, they can use it to, record what's happening and be an evidence. So it comes into the group as a very friendly machine. Because usually, when we film, what do we say? We shoot people. We shoot people. So actually, it's a very intrusive machine in ordinary life. So you see, we use small cameras. Actually, at that time, we used only DV tape camera, a very small machine with lower quality. So we don't use big machine because it's very shocking when it comes to a new group of people that you know. So we use small machine and we let them handle it. Even if it's not shaking like what, and it's shaking, and we let them to do it. So if the machine becomes friendly, they are more willing to talk. So the problem is why you have to ask yourself a question that why these people should be filmed by you. If you are him or her, why are you willing to be filmed by yourself?
And also one more question is, so you are taking something away from, so the interview, in fact, during the shooting process, and also you have made a work of your own, and then a very important question is, so you have taken these things from him or her, so what have you given back to him or her? This is important.
They have no obligation to help you to finish your work, right? Nobody has this obligation. So the problem is the give and take.
It's an ethical problem.
It's not only an ethical problem.
Yeah, we can have one more question.
Yeah.
Or two.
Oh, time is up.好，我可以等一陣。
I would like to ask, when you meet such a case like the renewable project, I wonder whether it should be filmed what you interpret, or you should interpret what you film.
即係點？
That means with such case, whether you should see what you interpret, or you film what you interpret, or you interpret what you see.
Interpretation happens all the time.
But that means whether you should 即係你應該係有個立場先去影，定還是你係影，所以你就有個立場出嚟
Both happens.
So her question was actually, do you have a standpoint before you go in there to film this thing, or you would have a standpoint after you film this thing?
I think it's impossible that you say that you don't have any standpoint. I think 個英文點講咧 ？Maybe Louisa can help us. 中立係唔同客觀㗎，係兩件事嚟㗎。客觀係你去見到一樣嘢嘅時候，你已經有一啲諗法，但係你會 review 你個諗法。你會再見到啲新嘅嘢，你會 review 你嘅諗法。中立就係你話我冇任何立場 ，which is a lie.
So she said being objective and being neutral, claiming that you yourself do not have a standpoint is a big lie. everybody has some kind of a standpoint when you go in. It might change like a little bit later on. You can modify it, but then when you go in there, and you must have something in your mind already.
Yeah. It's better if you know yourself better. You know what actually is your standpoint. The big example is like I think you have all looked at a lot of news lately. Usually the reporter thinks that you will find out that reporter very easily think that people are violent. I think they are very sincere reporter actually, because they are the people who are very easy to be provoked by some kind of scene which is not in order. Maybe some people are screaming, they say that they are very violent. They already describe them as violent. So he or she is very sincere, but actually there's a big standpoint within her mind. It's what is order and what is violence, what is chaos. Actually she has a definition for all these kind of things before she say that description. It's no use if she is sincere sometime, because there's a problem of social knowledge. So it's very important to improve. If you want to do some kind of documentary, I think it's very important to understand both of your subject's social environment and also about yourself, your own social environment. What is your limitation when you try to understand or interpret another person who comes from a totally different background? Why does he or she has a different, point of reference, which is totally different from you maybe? So before that, I don't think any documentary is honest enough to, before knowing yourself better and knowing them better, not only in personal, in terms of personal, history, but also in terms of that personal history which was inscribed in a larger social history. If you don't have that social history understanding, you cannot understand why that single mother was doing that. So that's why I just now try to explain that a little history, because let me try to briefly explain that. It's like a lot of Hong Kong people were actually came from China in 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, which was actually quite agreement between the British government and the mainland government. Since actually the mainland government wants all the Kuomintang remains in China to run away from China. And also at that time, Hong Kong is developing light industry. They need manpower. So the British government just let them come, because a lot of them are young people with labor power. And then in 1978, China opened, to the world, their market and their labor. And also the British government was thinking that, Hong Kong has to be developed into another kind of economy, like service industry, finance, tertiary industries. So then they had an agreement again. I don't want this manpower again, and you need this manpower, so shut them up in China. And what happened to the lower class people? Before this touch-based policy, all people, walking here and there, just like, you are going to new territories. So they're walking across the border very freely. But after these two governments had another agreement, suddenly the families were being separated. Because nobody thought that one day the border would be closed, because it has been open for so many years. And a lot of families leave their children in mainland so that they can earn some money and take the money back to Guangdong province or Fujian province. So that's how it happened. For this kind of children, they were left alone in mainland China, and the parents were out in Hong Kong. That's how it happened. And then you understand why. because she was, I think there's a layer of grievances deep in her heart to be left over, like an orphan, alone in mainland China. And then when she came to Hong Kong, she always hoped to see her parents and families, but then because they were being separated for so many years, she found that they were strangers to her because they don't live together. They don't know each other's living habits. And I don't know what you like, and you don't know what I like. I don't know what you hate, and you don't know what I hate. They're like strangers. So it's very struggling for her. That's how we understand her personal history in a larger social history.
Okay. Sorry about the classroom issue in the beginning, and then thank you for putting up with that. And thank you very much. I think that you brought in a very unique kind of. They're the only group in Hong Kong I know that works in the way they do, and then so that's why they were invited to our classroom. And so go ahead and leave your contact with them, and then if you want to, and also they're running the social movement film festival. It's going on right now, and then I put some leaflets that Wei gave it to me on the 7th floor, so you could pick one up. Okay.
Or you can just remember this SM1006 So this is a website with both Chinese and English. Oh, something happened.
Okay.
It became a blue screen.
So thank you very much, and then our class really appreciate, and I'll see you guys in next week.
Okay, thanks.